Major League Baseball, that's where they're doing double headers with 7-inning games to try to make up for the teams that had to quarantine or played other teams that where they had an issue. But that's been a success too, you would say?
Well, I think it's more difficult when you're out of the bubble. But look, they've canceled 36 games, but overall, they've also played the most games. And I think they've done a really good job. They've had starts and stops, reacted appropriately. And from all accounts, we'll finish the season. So, again, more difficult out of the bubble, but it's being done safely. So I think, yes, they'll be successful and finish the season. And I think it gives you hope for the National Football League, who will also not be in the bubble like the NHL and the NBA. And, of course, NASCAR was not in a bubble, nor was the PGA Tour.
And hey, George, in terms of valuations of teams, one of the big teams, as you know, is up for sale, the Mets. Everybody very curious about what the Wilpons are ultimately going to do. Who's it going to go to? Is it going to go to A-Rod and J-Lo? Is it going to go to Steve Cohen? And what kind of price you think it goes for? Weigh in on all of it, if you could.
Yeah, I think the Mets are a unique asset. They're in the largest market in the world. So I think they have that going for it. And I think looking in, you might see some upside operationally on the Mets. But in general, it would stand to reason in the next 12 to 36 months that valuations are going to be hit. I think if you look at the expectations for the Minnesota Timberwolves, they're lower than you might expect them to be. And I think that's because there is going to be real dislocation. When people can go back to games, it won't be the same number. And just because somebody goes back doesn't mean they're going to go back. The cost to operate these venues is going to go up. And, suite sales and ticket and hospitality are all going to be impacted. And at some point, that's going to have a rub off on valuations in the short run. In the long run, sports teams would be a good investment. They've been double-digit growth in CAGR for the last 20 years. But in the short run, it's going to be very challenging. It's going to be a very difficult time, I think, in the next 12 to 36 months.
And, George, the other thing I wanted to ask you about was gambling on games these days. Whether you think the play is something like a Penn, which owns Barstool and the like, or you saw IAC Barry Diller make a huge play on MGM on the assumption that he can turn that and help persuade them to really have a global or worldwide digital presence. Who do you think wins that game?
Well, I think it's a huge opportunity for both, and the reason why is, look, what we know is it's inched out, right? It hasn't gone to 50 states yet. And as the gambling expands across the United States, so will the financial opportunities. And I think this is going to be a big revenue stream for sports going forward. I think if you look at what Ted Leonsis has done in D.C., which is really starting to adapt a venue to more gaming and gambling, I think that's going to be the future. So I think gambling will be a good revenue stream for teams and states. And I also think it's going to be something that's sticky, meaning you're 18 or 19 times more likely to watch a game if you bet on it. And I think it's going to connect in ways with the avid fans. So gambling for sports is an overall positive, and I think it's a real growth engine going forward financially.